At 3:17 a.m. in a quiet suburb outside of Dusseldorf, the glow from a single laptop screen flickered off the boy's glasses. His bedroom door was locked, not because he was hiding from his parents, but because, somewhere deep inside Apple's fortress of firewalls and protocols, an unnoticed door had opened, and he had found it. Yannick Meyer was 17 years old, a wiry, soft-spoken kid who wore the same hoodie 3 days in a row and spent more time on Stack Overflow than he did with actual humans. But inside his head, things moved differently. While his classmates were grinding for finals or obsessing over TikTok dances, Yannick was reading white papers from DEF CON presentations. He wasn't trying to be a hacker, he was trying to understand the code that built the world. It started, like most things, with boredom. During Christmas break, Yannick was poking around in the developer tools for iOS, an environment supposedly sandboxed to prevent tampering. But there was something off. A microservice called dserver_aux was running port 65535, usually reserved, barely documented. Yannick dug deeper. It was undocumented. That was the first sign.
To Apple, it was a redundant thread. To Yannick, it was an invitation.
What followed was a cascade of late nights, code dissections, packet traces. For weeks, he reverse-engineered the way Apple authenticated encrypted device logs between beta and production servers. He discovered that a tiny oversight, a one-character mismatch in the staging environment, let him spoof a trusted device certificate. In plain English, he could impersonate any iPhone on the planet. At 2 a.m. on January 9th, Yannick built a tool. It was 47 lines of Python. Elegant, efficient, dangerous. With it, he accessed a live telemetry feed from an unreleased iOS build. He saw bug reports in real time, internal test logs, even messages between QA teams. Apple engineers, unaware they were being watched, chatted casually about upcoming features, security protocols, unreleased devices. He didn't leak anything, not yet. This wasn't about clout, it was about what was possible. But the deeper he went, the more he realized what he had. Not access to just one system, but a flaw so foundational, so intricately buried, that it bypassed the secure enclave, the chip Apple built specifically to stop people like him. He was inside what was supposed to be the unbreachable heart of Apple's empire. He tried to report it. He sent a detailed write-up to Apple's security bounty program, complete with video evidence, diagrams, and reproduction steps. 2 days passed. No response. Then 5. A week later, a reply came, automated, generic, thanking him for his submission. No payout, no follow-up, no acknowledgement of the depth of his discovery. That's when Yannick made a choice. Not to go public, not yet, but to go deeper. He started probing Apple's internal documentation servers. The staging key he'd spoofed gave him access not just to logs, but to documentation meant for internal-only firmware. That's when he found the kernel hook, a command used by Apple engineers to debug low-level system calls never meant to be exposed. Using it, he could force an iPhone to dump all encryption keys to a local file, breaking the encryption that protected even the most sensitive user data. He never used it maliciously, but he knew what it meant. This wasn't just a vulnerability, it was a skeleton key. And he wasn't the only one who noticed. One night, as he was testing the dump on a virtualized iPhone 13 environment, the connection froze. Then came the flicker, a forced shutdown, remote, unprompted. When he rebooted, a new process was running in his terminal log, auditwatch_21. It wasn't his, and it wasn't from Apple's public repositories. Someone was watching. Yannick's VPN began dropping connections, his Proton Mail inbox filled with login attempt alerts from California, then from Singapore. He unplugged the router. He stopped sleeping. Somewhere, someone inside the walled garden had woken up, and they weren't happy. Then, on a cold Monday morning, he got the email. It was short, 3 lines.
We reviewed your submission. Please do not share details publicly. Our team will be in contact.
No signature, no contact info, just silence. But behind the scenes, chaos was brewing. Inside Apple Park, security engineers scrambled to patch the hole Yannick had exposed. They found it through forensic traces he left in test environments, a user session that didn't belong, data pulled that should never have been seen. But what scared them wasn't just what he accessed, it was that for nearly a month, no one had noticed. Internally, the breach was classified as Priority Echo Black. Apple launched a close investigation, non-disclosure agreements were issued to internal staff, servers were scrubbed, but the hole, still not fully patched. Yannick stayed silent. No interviews, no Reddit threads, just code. And yet, the myth began to spread. Whispers on hacker forums, a pastebin file that briefly appeared with a code snippet that matched the exploit's signature, then vanished. Some claimed he had full access to Apple's crash analytics. Others believed he had the blueprint to the iPhone 15 before its announcement. None of it was confirmed. And Janik? He disappeared from the internet entirely. But the story doesn't end there. 9 months later, at a cybersecurity conference in Berlin, a speaker from Apple gave a presentation about zero-trust environments and hardening firmware boundaries. In a brief slide, seen only for 6 seconds, was a changelog entry, patched a token validation mismatch in dev pipeline cert handling. It was Janik's patch. No credit, no name, no bounty. Just a quiet admission that somewhere, a teenager had broken into the most secure tech ecosystem in the world and walked out undetected. Today, no one knows where Janik Meyer is. Some say he was hired, others think he vanished by choice. But what's certain is this: in a world built on locked doors and encrypted walls, a 17-year-old kid found a crack and slipped through before anyone could stop him. He didn't do it for fame, he didn't do it for money, he did it to see if he could.